Shrim, Hrim, Klim, Ganesh, Varaya, Brahma, Brupaya, Charavae, Sarva, Siddhi, Pradeshaya, Vigneshaya, Namo, Namaha. It basically says, O Ganesha, you are the form of Brahman within matter. You're the entirety of Brahman as a structure within matter, containing the essence of all of that that is Brahman. Sarva Siddhi, you can bestow upon us the perfection of our human potential. Pradeshaya, Vigneshaya, Namo Namaha. And by so doing, remove all of those things which obstruct or impede our path toward perfection.
And so the making of Ganesha by Parvati's the whatever was the skin of her body represents
The gene
that
code.
the gene code and with this feature that you are talking about,
Yep.
where there is part animal and part human, because
Because that's because of the evolution is up through the other species into human, still carrying the residues of that experience as we're supposed to integrate it. But now we're not supposed to be bound by it, because a human bound by it cannot get the benefit of being human. And then darshan, drishti, and rishi is when you see you're up out of the animal, and now you can examine everything. And that's why Samkhya is the first darshan. Without that, you don't. And the first two darshans are the categories of nature and the logic that's required to understand them.
So you begin to say this by saying that the east of the science or the Vijnana that I at least try to learn a little bit about, or my training in that direction, is the Ganesha. And today is the Ganesha Chaturthi.
You're his extension.
I'm just an extension of that knowledge system.
Because you know all the categories, and you see, if you know all the categories, when you go to talk to someone, you would address them according to their nature, and therefore they would listen to you. If you ignore their nature and start talking to them, you'll offend them.
True.
Any animal trainer knows this. I trained horses all my life. And you talk to the horse with your hips, not with your hands. The hands confuse them. The hips tell them whether you're going to kick, what you're going to do, where you want them to go. Only a horse trainer understands that. So they're talking animal talk. And so are we in this animal body, but it's our obstacle, because then all the other species dislike us. So here's the last piece to this. Yogas chit vritti nirodha. So the twist that created the double helix is vritti. Vrittis result from orbits. Same word, orbit, vrit, twist, vortex, all those vrittis. So yoga is disabling the twists that have corrupted your understanding and ability to see things as they really are. So yoga is the fourth darshan. After you've mastered all of the preceding darshans, now you have to do one more last thing, and that is untwist your bondage to the DNA. And then you do that by associating with the Isha. So Ishvara Pranidan Kriya Yoga Ha, Tapasya Svadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidan Kriya Yoga Ha. You have to get to the ideal realm in order to understand how the real realm is a reflection of it. And Ganesha is the via media for this entire process as Mother Nature's first virgin birth child.
Makes sense. So we have very fascinating ideas about several things you said. One of them I've been introducing. I recently was invited in a conference in JNU about Vedic mathematics, and so I tried to explain to them that the mathematics in Sanskrit is known as Ganita.
Mm-hmm.
And the word that comes from Gada.
Mm-hmm.
And Gada is somebody prominent because somebody that can be counted on. I mean, if there is a sense of size or sense of enormity built in our consciousness, and that can be counted. And so the word actually comes from Gana, which is the Ish, or the devata of Gana is Ganesha.
Yes.
So we need to have that as a feature. Is one of my interpretations of this.
Absolutely so.
Which
100%.
makes,
And
yeah,
go
which
ahead.
makes sense now that whatever you were saying also.
Yes.
I mean,
And think of his Vahana also.
yeah, the
So
Bahat is the
a
mouse.
Vahana, but it used to be a rat.
Okay, rat.
And,
Okay.
and the rat was biting everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the people asked Ganesha, could you please save us from this rat? And Ganesha fought with it and was about to kill it and said, I'll spare you if you become a mouse and become my vehicle.
Mm.
And the rat said, okay. So who's the rat and who's the mouse?
Mm.
The rat is a hamkara.
Okay. And mouse is the mind?
The mouse, no, the mouse is buddhi, because the mouse gnaws on things but isn't aggressive. And so that gnawing is from jnana. The English word gnaw is from jnana.
Yeah.
So the mouse is that process of cogitation, as we call it, of
Yeah.
putting all those pieces together and watching the particles and watching the molecules and seeing all of those. That's the mouse behavior. And that behavior doesn't want to bite anyone. It's too interested in being exactly right. And it has small eyes and big ears.
Yeah, yeah.
Eyes are for finding fault. Ears are for finding the truth.
Yeah.
So the
Listening.
whole imagery is interwoven into this pursuit of Samkhya as far as it will go, of
Yeah.
pursuing jnana until it can't take you a step further. And then the next darshan becomes necessary. And then all the darshans become necessary. And then Brahman is accessible because the darshans have all been accomplished. And so finally, the last questions are Brahman direct.
Mm.
But the first questions are about here and us and embodiment and all of this. And people who don't start there aren't qualified to go there.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
They don't have the tools yet to go there.
Yeah. So
So
just to bring,
it's like the
just to,
Krishna movement. They went there with inappropriate emotions and inappropriate samskaras.
well, I mean, I think, and then it is what you other one you said that tapas swadhyaya iswar pranidhani kriya yoga also is to bring the ideal, what you said, from the rules are made based on the ideals for us to follow. You cannot make the rules based on, the whatever the real is, because we are so different. There is no unity unless you reach to the ideal, which is another very scientific. All the laws in science are made by under the ideal conditions only.
Right.
All the laws even today are made on the ideal conditions. And question is, again, to bring it back to the democracy that we talked earlier, that whether the laws made by this so-called representatives of people or Congress or political parties or parliaments or kings or whosoever, are they making it according to the natural connection of what you said and what I say that in science is still practiced, are these laws being made under ideal conditions so
Yes.
that people can follow them rather than taking everybody's hue and cry to say do this and that they do that and they do this and they do that, and then they create in the process a lot of conflict because people are eventually crossing each other's lives.
And we really just circled, that was so beautifully said. We circled back around to the point we started with, which is any system of examining life that isn't systematic and goes to all levels is leaving out a certain amount of valuable and important information. So what I said in my talk the other day was that the Namaste culture, first and foremost, sees everyone as an immortal being on a long journey of learning in a universe that's actually a university.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly how I said it. So once you embrace that view, no other characteristic of that embodied being negates your perception of them as the Atma.
Very true. Very true. Great.
It only modifies it.
It's wonderful. Wonderful. I think so. We had great conversation, Jeffrey. I think we will connect again.